Today, I would like to talk about the benchmark for judging the benefits and harms of screening, especially ultrasound-based thyroid cancer screening. This table summarizes the 5 rounds of thyroid cancer screening and thyroid cancer screening of 25 years old during the past 11 years in the Fukushima Health Management Survey. The data were updated on March 31, 2022 by the 45th Fukushima Prefectural Oversight Committee. In primary screening, the first round was from fiscal years 2011 to 13. In the second round, from fiscal years 2014 to 15. The third round was conducted from fiscal year 2016 to 2017. Fourth round from fiscal year 2018 to 19. And the fifth round was from fiscal years 2020 to 22. The result of examinations from 25 years old are shown in the right-hand column. In the confirmatory examination, malignant or suspicious malignancy cases were detected using fine needle aspiration cytology. In the first round, 116 cases were diagnosed, with 71 cases in the second round, 31 in the third round, 39 in the fourth round, 11 cases in the fifth round, and 16 cases in the examination of 25 years old. The confirmatory examination in the fifth round and examination of 25 years old are ongoing. The most common pathological type among surgical cases were papillary thyroid cancer. The bottom of the slide, the thyroid cancer detection rate per 100,000 examined is calculated by correcting the rate of participation in the confirmatory examination. These rates were not adjusted for age, sex, number of screening, intervals between screenings, and the other factor from cancer registries, but indicates marked increased cancer detection, potential overdiagnosis more than 10 times greater than without screening. The left panel indicates age-specific prevalence in the first round, about 30 times higher than expected prevalence without screening condition. The right panel showed incidence in the second round, about 50 times greater than non-screening status. In the world, it has also become clear that ultrasound-based thyroid cancer screening resulted in the disadvantage of overdiagnosis far outweighed the benefits. Thus, the recent guideline no longer recommends such screening even after the nuclear accident, as shown with Preventive Service Task Force's recommendation in the lower panel. However, some Japanese experts have expressed that thyroid cancer outbreak by this screening is not overdiagnosis but merely clinical early detection of cancer, therefore confusing the recent screening policy. The fifth round of this thyroid cancer screening is still ongoing without effective change to prevent the harm of overdiagnosis. When planning new screening, we should first consider adhering to screening principles, such as the guideline proposed the World Health Organization European Region Office in 2020, as shown in this slide. However, some cancer screening programs were initiated without those considerations, even though the benefit of early diagnosis remains unclear. Unfortunately, the thyroid examination is one such screening. Thus, a benchmark as a proxy measure would facilitate policy decisions on whether to continue or stop screening. As benchmark for evaluation, we'd like to consider whether the qualitative trajectories of the change in cancer detection rate are useful as a proxy measure to predict natural history of cancer. It is generally believed that cancer cells have exponentially linear growth. In that case, as shown 6 in a row in this figure, a linear growth curve can be seen if the number of cells is plotted logarithmically on the vertical axis and time is plotted on the horizontal axis. According to the multiple carcinogenesis hypothesis, a single cancer cell begins linear proliferation in early middle age. Furthermore, many cancers are expected to take 10 to 20 years or more to reach the 9th power of 10th in cell number and become clinically detectable or symptomatic. In thyroid cancer, however, according to previous research, it is thought that the proliferation cancer cell began in childhood. So linear growth curve is speculated as shown since arrow. The thyroid gland has indolent cancers in 10 to 50% of autopsies. According to the linear growth hypothesis, these cancers can be considered to have a natural history of growth patterns such as A and B in the figure. It is hypothesis that B is a cancer growth pattern that can be detected by ultrasound and can be followed up in active surveillance after middle age. C is a cancer growth pattern that is indicated for treatment with surgery. However, it is hypothesis that in very rare cases, young people develop a proliferation like D and also target for treatment. In addition, according to this linear growth hypothesis, it is difficult to explain the clinical characteristics that the prognosis is better in young people, despite the rapid growth of thyroid cancer in young people. Based on this hypothesis of linear growth pattern, let us consider the trajectory pattern of detection rate for the population if young people were annually screened. When there is no screening, the detection rate is low, shown as small a in this figure, and the detection rate rises slightly after 10 years. If clinically diagnosed cancer are diagnosed by screening at an early stage, average 2 to 3 years, an increase the detection rate of about 3 times is expected in the first screening, as shown in small b. If annual screening continues, it should return to the original level again after the second time. This trajectory pattern indicates the potential benefit of early diagnosis can be assumed. Next, consider what occurs if an early diagnosis of more than 10 years is included. Is there a possibility of trajectory like small c, with a more than tenfold increase in diagnosis in the first screening, and then return to the original no screening prevalence rate described above? Assuming linear growth and slow growth over 10 years more, like B' in the figure, in the case of cancer diagnosed at young age, carcinogenesis starts before fertilization. Therefore, it is theoretically hard to imagine the possibility of a trajectory pattern such as small c in the previous slide. In recent years, another hypothesis has been shown that papillary thyroid cancer can follow a growth curve as shown in the figure, where growth arrest occurs. Assuming a natural history of growth arrest curve, indolent thyroid cancer found in several tens of % of all autopsies are thought to have a tumoral growth pattern like trajectory of A and B in the figure. Symptomatic thyroid cancer in a small minority of young individuals is considered to have a trajectory like C. The excellent prognosis of thyroid cancer in young people can also be easily explained based on this natural history. Based on this natural history of growth arrest patterns, let us consider the pattern of detection rate when screening young people. When there is no screening, it tends to look like small a. The first round of screening has a cumulative effect, and the prevalence of overdiagnosed cases is included, resulting in a high detection rate. If most cases are overdiagnosed from the second screening onward, the detection rate is expected to increase accordingly. There is a curve like small b is expected. This means that there are many reservoir cancer cases. Therefore, the same detection rate as the second time is maintained from the third time onward. Let's actually look at the detection rate trajectories from the RCT paper of annual mammography screening for breast cancers and annual low-dose CT screening for lung cancer. The figure on the left plots the ratio between the number of breast cancer observations and the expected value, according to article reporting RCT data on annual mammography screening for breast cancer. The right side of figure plots the ratio of number of lung cancer observed in RCT data articles in annual low-dose CT screening for smokers. There is 3 to 5-fold increase in the detection rate in the first round of post-screening. After the second time, it approached the baseline, although slightly higher. Also, both screenings have been found to reduce mortality. They are said to include more overdiagnosis of about 10 to 30%. Therefore, the trajectory pattern with a relatively higher first-time detection rate and subsequent detection rate that don't completely return to baseline may indicate partially overdiagnosed screening. Next, let's look at the thyroid cancer screening in Fukushima. Prior to 2010, when there was no screening, the cumulative incidence by age 25 years was about 2 per 100,000. From analysis of prevalence rate in the first round and the incidence in second round, overdiagnosis of several tens of times is speculated. Clearly, high incidence rate remains high even the third to fifth round, and marked overdiagnosis continues. Akira has also concluded that no radiation effects have been or will be seen, so the relationship with radiation is not mentioned in this presentation. If we still want to scientifically investigate the effect of radiation, we should plan a renewal program that does not cause overdiagnosis. The trajectory pattern of detection rate can be used as a benchmark to allow early assessment when screening studies are initiated. Suppose the natural history of cancer is likely to follow a linear growth pattern. If the increased detection in the first screening is within about 5 times and trajectory returns to the original level in the subsequent screening, we cannot deny the possibility that the benefits of early detection overweight the disadvantages. If the detection rate for the first time is extreme increase of about 5 times or more, it is more likely that the natural history is a pattern of growth arrest. If the trajectory of the subsequent runs result marked increase over the original level, marked overdiagnosis is suspected. In conclusion, based on the natural history of growth arrest pattern, the Fukushima thyroid examination provides a benchmark that suggests that the majority of detected cancers are overdiagnosed. This is an evaluation from the qualitative proxy measure, but it is desired that this screening policy will be changed as soon as possible in order to reduce the significant overdiagnosis damage in the future. Thank you for your attention.